You'd be surprised what comes up in conversation when paleontologists spend long days in the field. Some of it is deep time in ancient ecosystems. Some of it is, well, trying to remember our fourth favorite hat. This is Fourth Favorite Hat, a look into real dig site chatter of the Montana Dinosaur Center. Each episode brings you the work, the stories, the arguments, the questions, and the odd tangents that emerge when you put scientists, shovels, fossils, and too much sun in the same place. And yes, every guest still has to answer the only question that really matters. What's your fourth favorite hat? Let's get started.
Hello, I'm Andy, and my fourth favorite hat is my South Dakota Badlands dad cap.
I'm Bret, and my fourth favorite hat is my Lake Champlain Lake Monsters baseball cap.
And you may have had a conception that there was a third host, but that's one of many misconceptions that we'll be debunking in today's episode. How was that, Bret?
Bryce, never heard of him.
Yeah, Bryce is away. And while Bryce is away, the Andy and Bret shall play. We figured something we could do is discuss many different misconceptions that people have about paleontology as a whole.
There's quite a few.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with having these, but we figured we can help you be a little more up to date. Probably the biggest one is the idea that if it's ancient and dead, it's a dinosaur. Very much not true.
Yeah, I've heard people call things like megalodon like a dinosaur.
I studied mosasaurs, which are basically sea dragons. People love to call those water dinosaurs. Dinosaur doesn't just mean dead thing. Dinosaur is a specific grouping. So first off, you have to be an archosaur, which is a reptile with socketed teeth, a antorbital fenestre, so a hole in the skull right before the eye, and a mandibular fenestre, a opening in the lower jaw. That's to be an archosaur. Dinosaurs then take that further with their perforated acetabulum, so what that means is their hips have an open hole in them that the femur fits into, giving them an upright stance. That's another feature. They include those fenestrae, and typically dinosaurs have reduced digits 4 and 5, and they have some fused sacral vertebrae, so vertebrae in the hip. That sort of debunks if it's dead, it's a dinosaur. The other thing is we have plenty of living dinosaurs. Birds.
All birds today are living dinosaurs. I know some people might think that's kind of weird. Andy just said that they have to be reptiles. Birds are, in fact, part of the reptile group.
Hyper derived. But yeah, reptile is actually a very large group. Now, the next question is, does something not being a dinosaur make it less cool? No, but by no standards.
There's lots of really cool ancient animals and modern animals that are not dinosaurs.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time period, after the non-avian dinosaurs, the not bird ones, where pigs ate camel. If you tell me that's less exciting because it doesn't have the dinosaur moniker, that's just kind of incorrect.
Lots of really cool extinct animals. I mean, if you want to know more about that, we talked about that about quite a few of them in our other podcast.
Yeah, especially the episodes where we cover the different geologic time spans.
So the animals most commonly associated with being dinosaurs that aren't, Andy already mentioned one of the groups, the mosasaurs, but that also includes things like other aquatic reptiles like plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs are also thrown in there. And then people will say flying dinosaurs when they're talking about pterosaurs, which of course they're not dinosaurs at all, but they are pretty closely related.
Another common one I hear is, oh, crocodiles are basically dinosaurs. They're unchanged. Both of those are wrong. Crocodiles are the cousins of dinosaurs, but boy howdy have they been changed throughout the millions of years.
Yeah, crocodilomorphs, pseudo-crocodilomorphs, they've had so many different body plans throughout the years. During the Triassic, lots of them probably resembled dinosaurs even more than they resembled crocodiles.
A lot of those early pseudopsychians get confused for dinosaurs pretty easily, and that's the ones where I'm like, alright, fair. I was gonna say another misconception, and this kinda is more so, I guess, opinion-based. The idea that dinosaurs having feathers makes them less scary. Have you heard that one, Bret?
I have heard that one. I've heard people say, like, oh, like, these dinosaurs aren't as cool as when I was a kid. Other people will be like, oh, it's not as cool, like, the T-Rex how it stands now. Things like, see, people say that sometimes. You might have heard that one.
Oh, plenty of times. And I can't stress enough, T-Rex couldn't stand like that. T-Rex couldn't move like that.
By that, we refer to with the tail dragging on the ground, standing, like, upright.
The difference in our science as opposed to, science even just 40 years ago is we have a better understanding of biomechanics, how animals have to be, and that's the key thing. Dinosaurs are animals. There's a great scene in, the Jurassic World movie. By great, I mean great for misconceptions. where there's a bunch of dinosaurs running from the volcano. I don't know which one it was. They're all sound
Oh,
the same to me.
that's Fallen Kingdom, I think.
Yeah. And you still have, like, the big old theropod, like, killing things as they run away from a volcano because, they're movie monsters, clearly. No, a frightened animal's gonna run. It doesn't care about food in the moment. That's the thing, like, dinosaurs were animals, and the idea that a feathered animal is less scary tells me that people have never had to wrangle a tom turkey, and it shows.
We've seen out here, we live out in Montana, and we see like these eagles all the time. And I mean, we can see them hunting big animals. Like they can be scary.
Oh, the sandhill cranes just came back, and they are always bigger than I think they're gonna be. If one of them wanted to hurt me, it probably could.
Hmm. I think we need like more horror movies with like feathered dinosaurs. I know like
Mhm.
one of the things that people talk about is like these dinosaurs are like parrots and like imitate sounds to like scare people,
Ooh,
like
that
draw
would be
people out. That's
real
kind of like that's
freaky.
kind of like a common like horror type thing I've seen with these. There's definitely lots of ways that these could be very scary animals. And I mean, they're still large, 1,000-pound meat-eating dinosaurs.
Also, like, feathers can have very intense coloration to it.
Hmm.
I guess that one's more so opinion based, but I'm counting it as a misconception. The idea that dinosaurs have to live up to people's ideas of movie monsters.
Yeah, these were animals. They don't care what you think. Sticking to feathers, another misconception people have is that now all dinosaurs would have been feathered.
It's a very specific grouping. So the group of theropods, which are those two-legged fellas, usually the carnivorous ones with some exceptions, then splits off into the group Coelurosauria, and that's going to be the one with the feathers. And what's important is it's the potential for feathers. They can then evolve to lose the feathers. Great example is a tetrapod, is based off of having 4 limbs. Snakes are tetrapods. They've lost their limbs, but it is in their ancestry.
Similar thing with whales. Whales have pretty much lost their rear legs. They
Mhm.
still have little, vestigial remnants, but nothing there.
Things can be lost, but also things can change throughout an animal's life. T-Rex likely had feathers as a chick, and then would have lost them into adulthood, regaining scales.
Yeah, it was very warm during the Cretaceous, and these are very large animals. They have to be able to shed lots and lots of heat. If you look at elephants today, elephants are mammals, but they often don't have a lot of hair on them because they need to shed lots of heat.
While I encourage speculative biology, that's, even if it's not based in science, it's fun. Speculation, theories, hypotheses, that's how this all gets further.
Have you ever seen like the speculative like evolution of like what life would look like on different planets in our solar system? That stuff's
Oh,
so
I,
interesting.
I think I have.
Yeah, there was a TV show, I can't remember what it was called, in like the 2000s that had like lots of really cool designs and things. And there was like these weird things that would like go in like Jupiter's atmosphere and they would like float around in the gases and stuff.
Was that like All Tomorrows or After Man or one of those?
I don't remember what it was called,
There's a
but
lot of those.
yeah, some of that stuff is super interesting.
I always loved Alien Planet as a documentary based off of a guy's art book where he just kind of wanted to draw weird aliens. They then have evolutionary biologists assess what these mean. So, like, the planet they're on, it's actually incredibly rare for things to have eyes because they're just frankly not useful. And that's something I don't think we cover a lot, is life didn't start with eyes, and not all life has eyes.
I mean, the majority of it doesn't. One of the biggest ones I hear a lot, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, is that if you work on dinosaurs, you're an archaeologist.
Oh, yeah. Anytime I meet an archaeologist, the quickest way we bond is by people not knowing what our jobs are. I met an archaeologist, and I was talking with her. She was running a small museum, similar to how we run ours. And I was like, how many times do people confuse you for me? And she's like, all the time. I study Iron Age England, and they're like, what dinosaurs have you worked on? Meanwhile,
people always get confused.
I'm working on dinosaurs, and my aunt is like, when are you going to dig up the pyramids? And it's like, what?
I always try and tell people that for archaeologists, that's more like Indiana Jones, and paleontologists is like Jurassic Park. That's kind of the difference.
You
that I
would
tell
think with
people.
how popular both those movies are, though, people would get the difference.
I think people understand the difference. They just don't remember the titles, and they kind of confuse the titles.
That's fair.
Like, once I tell people, they're like, oh, of course, yeah. They just misremember.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say some of the more bitter people, the misconception is that we don't know what we're doing because the science has updated itself since they were a kid. The argument being, well, how do we know our version is correct? And we don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the whole point. is we're getting closer. And
Oftentimes, so much is changing because we're learning new stuff all the time. People think that we've kind of like figured out everything there is to figure out in paleontology, that's another misconception I guess people have. Is people will be like, oh, there's going to be nothing left. Like, you guys are almost done discovering everything
there's more life that has gone extinct than there is life currently. That's just statistics.
by a large amount.
Oh, big time.
But people think that dinosaurs have been studied for so long that like we've found all the ones that are out there, and that's just not true. I mean, every year, tens of new species are found and discovered.
Well, and if you think about it this way, paleontology as a recognized science at the very least is under 210 years old, I think, something like that. Physics has been studied for thousands of years, and we still have sounds that we think exist but can't prove. Cut us some slack, guys.
The more you learn, also the more there is to learn. Like, as we uncover more
I mean,
things,
that's
we
the
can
exciting
learn.
thing. Like, how many times has it been at our dig site in particular where we find something out and suddenly there's way more questions?
I mean, yeah, every time I'm at our dig site, like I'm always thinking about like, well, what exactly is going on this site? And then I'm thinking about like, well, if that's how it is, like, why do we not see this, or why do we see this? So
Last summer, we found the first lizard jaw at our dig site, and that's exciting. We know a lizard was here. Now we have the question of, wait, how did it
why?
get... Yeah.
Why do we only have that from small animals?
Yeah, that's the exciting thing about science, is it's always feeding itself. You can always learn more.
I think that's a big misconception, though, is people think, oh, it's all going to be done soon, but it's not. We're learning new stuff all the time.
I think another misconception is that the study of the past is not useful.
Yeah, people always will ask, like, how is this useful? Like, what does this, like, do?
And quite frankly, we can only better understand our present and our future by knowing where we came from.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes, especially when it comes to understanding, like, evolution of organisms, how those came to be, how different extinction events happen, how climate changes over long term, these can help, us affect our world today positively.
Yeah. This is
Another-
less a science-based misconception that I get. People assume I hate science fiction because I am a scientist. Have you
You know
gotten
what's
that?
funny? I've never gotten that, but I think that's funny because all the scientists I know are like the biggest science fiction enjoyers out there.
Yeah, I will
Like,
say though, I don't like Big Bang Theory. I had a friend be like, but they're scientists. I'm like, no, they're not. They're actors.
I've never seen Big Bang Theory, so I can't comment on that. But I mean, I love sci-fi. That's my favorite type of literature to read, and I read lots of sci-fi books. It's one of the things we talk about the most in our dig sites.
Yeah, Star Wars is
Star
a
Wars,
notable one. Is Star Wars realistic? No. Do I want it to be? No.
There's room for both unrealistic and realistic science fiction, and they both, have their places.
I definitely said this in our paleo media episodes, but like, so long as it's a good story, I don't really care if the science is bad.
As long as the science in the story stays true to itself, that's fine. It's fiction. That's in the word. I think people tend to get upset because they'll have like loopholes in their own systems, and then they'll get mad.
I love the Conan the Barbarian works by Robert E. Howard. And then later, the comics and the movie with Arnie. And people are like, well, if this takes place in Earth's past, what time period did steel coexist with great swords, but also they hadn't invented full plate mail? And it's like, dude, just let Conan use a big sword and, like, just watch The Barbarian.
Yeah, it's for fun. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like presenting itself as like a history like documentary, or like it's a fun story.
That's the main reason why Dracula, the Untold Story, or whatever that one is called, I got kind of upset with, because the advertisement was constantly like, the real history, and then you watch it and you're like, no!
Yeah, that's definitely the most annoying for me, is when like something presents itself as being like true and historical and then it's not.
If people aren't trying for it, I'm not gonna care that much.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if it's like a fiction, it can be fun.
This is more so a specific misconception because we work at a small museum. Anytime it's just me there that day, it's my turn to watch desk and everybody's in the field. People ask when I specifically found something that's on display. And it's like, that was found in 1997. I was born in 1997. Do you get that one?
I've gotten that. I'm the one who owns the museum.
Oh, I get that one all the time. It's like, well, that's not really how museums work.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, you own this place? And I'll be like, no. And they'll be like, is it your parents? And I'm like, no, I work here. Like, I'm happy to tell people. People are always really interested to learn about what it's like to live in, such a small town.
Every now and then, and this happened a lot more in South Dakota for some reason, people would want to like get into an argument about their misconceptions, about how
That's
theirs was the right one. And
that's definitely happened. Someone.
oh, I mean it happens still in Montana. I just got it a lot during my when I worked at the School of Mines Museum for my to help fund my
Hmm.
grad school. It happens so often. I just had to keep telling people that I'm not paid enough to fight you.
If people come
Which,
in with their preconceptions, they like want to be proven like that they're right.
yeah,
It's just it
it
seems
was
kind of strange to
usually
me.
people bringing in like a hunk of hematite, saying this is a meteor, and I'm like, no. Or one time somebody brought in a lump of chert and said this is a fossilized saber-toothed tiger heart, and he wasn't a fan of when we told him it super wasn't.
I've had that happen a few times, but like sometimes people just will bring in really interesting stuff and ask about it.
Oh, more often than not, people are just excited to learn about what they've got. I don't
Yeah,
want people to think what I've just depicted is the norm.
no, most people are super excited. I mean, and people bring in stuff all the time that is really cool, even if it's not a fossil. Andy and I are both came from geology backgrounds, so we like to look at all kinds of rocks, tell
Mhm.
people about them.
Definitely some people kind of get a soured face from. I'm like, it's a really cool rock, and they're like, is it, or are you just trying to make me feel happy? I'm like, well, it's a rock, which makes it really cool.
The rock, and I think is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, today when we were in town, viewers, this is a slice of life. We usually go to Great Falls for bigger grocery runs. Dustin jokingly was like, I'm gonna park on the rocks, and I'm like, joke's on you, I'm gonna analyze the rocks. And then he came
Well,
around
where
and
the
saw.
rocks?
Here's the cool thing: they were gists with microfine garnets in them. They were really
That's actually
pretty.
cool.
That shows our museum's director for thinking rocks can stop me.
Silly biologist.
Yeah.
He wouldn't get it.
No. Next time I'll be like, if I'm driving, it'll be like, fine, I'll park on this rotten plant matter, you biologist.
We'll show him. What are misconceptions are there? I mean, one I get is just because we're paleontologists, we know everything there is to know about dinosaurs.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh, I mean, this is one I get a lot too, where parents are like, "Oh, my kid knows every dinosaur." No, they don't. They don't.
I don't know every dinosaur.
Yeah. That
Uh,
includes every single bird species. That include like,
every
don't get
extinct
me.
bird species.
Yeah, I will never cast any malignance on a child. I will never try to discourage their wonderment. There is a
Hmm.
lot more to paleontology than just knowing dinosaur names.
It's impossible for one person to know every,
No.
even like every reptilian dinosaur, I guess, non-avian dinosaur. There's so many, and every year there's tens of new dinosaurs discovered.
Yeah. Well, and what doesn't help too, you get stuff like back in the Bone Wars. So many of those things were then devalidated. Brontosaurus was a thing, and then it wasn't, and then somebody named a new dinosaur Brontosaurus because the name was open. It's like, cool, cool, cool. Making my life harder with that decision.
How many times, Andy, have you been like told that like somebody knows all the dinosaurs, and then when we're talking about the dinosaurs in the Two Medicine Formation, they're like, "I've never heard of that one."
Oh, often.
Like almost every time.
I felt really bad. I was doing a outreach event in the winter when I was visiting my family in Illinois at the DuPage Children's Museum. It was story time with a paleontologist, and I was trying to engage with the kids. I did a very good job overall. But one kid was like, "I know everything about dinosaurs," and I wanted to converse with him, get the child excited. I'm like, "Oh, could you tell me some things?" And he was like, no." And I'm like, "Oh, I scared him." That felt bad.
In general, though, I think it's great if people are interested in dinosaurs, and I like to learn new stuff. Like lots of times, people tell me something stuff I didn't know.
Oh, I mean, yeah. It's impossible for one person to know everything about anything.
Hmm.
I mean, this was a misconception I had during undergrad, where my family was like, "I thought you wanted to be a paleontologist. Why are you studying geology?" And I'm like, it's a specialization."
Hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean?" I'm like, "So, you know how XYZ person is a dentist? That's like saying, oh, why'd they become a dentist? I thought they wanted to study health." Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like, you get what I'm saying?
No, I understand. Like, there's a lot of like subdivisions and stuff within paleontology that's not really apparent to the average person. Because like, why would they know that, right? Like, I don't know like all the different like types of law. So I'm not a lawyer.
Exactly. Oh, do you know about sky law?
No.
So, if you're flying in the air, crime doesn't happen.
What?
I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, Brett.
That seems very easy to disprove.
I mean, so do a lot of these misconceptions. Heyo!
That's true. That's true.
See, I'm just perpetuating the cycle. Now a bunch of lawyers doing a podcast can talk about that misconception.
Yeah. So another misconception I get a lot is that pretty much nothing happened between the dinosaurs and the ice ages.
Oh, I mean, so many things just skip right to the Ice Age.
Exactly, because like in like even in like documentaries and things, oftentimes you'll see like it goes from dinosaurs to the ice age, or movies or things like that.
Hmm.
Like people will have like, oh, it goes from dinosaurs to like mammoths, and they don't realize that there's more than 60 million years in between those things.
Yeah. No, so much happens in the Cenozoic.
And it's just not talked about as much. I don't know why.
I don't know if they ever came out with it. This is something I have to look into. There was a project I was really excited about. It was going to be like a Walking with Dinosaur style documentary about agate
Oh,
in Nebraska. So it would have been like with Daedon and whatnot. It looked really cool. I wonder if they ever made it.
is that like stuff from like Ashfall site and stuff like that?
Agate's nearby. It's in the corner of Nebraska. That's exciting.
I mean, that's where Ashfall is.
Yeah, same corner. I don't know if that says it was funded. I'll have to find it.
That's kind of a whole section of history that most people aren't even aware of. And I mean, I don't really blame them because it's not something you can find information about easily.
Yeah, but then when you teach people about it and you're like, yeah, were these things called calicotheres. They were gorilla horse bears. And
Yeah,
some,
there's lots
like,
of cool stuff going on.
yeah, I've yet to meet a person who dislikes calicotheres.
Or like Indricotheres, things like that.
Yeah.
Lots of really cool, interesting mammals going on then.
Do yourselves a favor, everybody. Just Google mammals from, I don't know, just say,
Paleocene.
yeah. I was gonna say 20 million years ago if you want, like, specifics, but, like, Oligocene, Miocene, any of those, you'll have a great time.
Just lots of kind of wacky, fun stuff going on.
People think we get to our modern form pretty quickly, and the answer is we do not.
No, it takes a while. Lots of things changed at the time. Not to say there's nothing that isn't similar,
Oh, of course not. But there are notable differences.
like look at like the evolution of horses. Like they changed so much.
Oh, yeah. Well, because the environment they evolve in changes, so they change too.
hmm Spoiler, that's what happens to everything
Well, yeah.
for our listeners.
Sorry, I probably should have said that. Well, the brother of my friend's fiance learned I was a paleontologist, and when I met him for said friend's wedding, he was like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." This may sound stupid. I'm like, "Don't worry about it. It's not an issue." He's like, "Is it possible that T-Rexes, were actually dragons with big wings?" And I'm like, "No, no, it isn't." He's like, "Well, couldn't the wings have eroded away?" And I'm like, "It's big. How would it? How would it work?"
I kind of like questions like that
Oh, of
because
course.
it shows off like curiosity and like you can actually explain like, well, I mean, we would see like places
Yeah,
on the bones for muscle attachments and things like that, which
yeah,
is
and I
which is
was
honestly really interesting.
because he
Most
asked
people
if
don't
like
really
the
understand
tiny
that.
arms were just part of the wing, and I showed him, a picture showing there's no articulation point, meaning that's where it ends.
hmm
The idea that dinosaurs are these mythological creatures, they're animals, you know?
The big ones.
Yeah. Well, and then like the concepts of a lot of cryptid talk, which we need to do a cryptid episode at some point.
That would be fun.
But so many cryptids are like, well, this thing just escaped extinction. And it's like, okay, that happened like twice, maybe? We had coelacanths. That's not a common occurrence.
Yeah, it's not like these were found recently. This happened, back in the 1930s.
Mhm. But yeah, like Bigfoot is just a Gigantopithecus that survived extinction, or the devil flyers are just Rhamphorhynchus that survived extinction. Yes, we are finding new species, but it's really hard for something to remain unchanged for over 60 million years and remain undetected and unchanged. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I think in general, like it's not like a lot of these misconceptions just come from like not learning about things, Like
Oh, of course. And that's our job, is to then educate. I mean, shoot, how many misconceptions did you start with?
I
Like,
mean, a whole bunch. I mean, like I've learned new stuff almost every day. I mean, about
exactly.
dinosaurs in general.
Mhm.
But in general, I mean, I learned new stuff about so many things.
Yeah.
I think that's
I,
just the
I,
keys, have an open mind.
yeah. I mean, that's what it is. And the fact that these people are asking does so
That
much.
that's the most important thing. Have an open mind and be inquisitive.
Mhm.
You're learning so much about the world. I'm sure that
Anything
applies
else?
to, whatever field people work in, not just, paleontology.
I hope you guys have had a good one, and as always, I've been Andy,
And I'm Brett.
and there was never a Bryce. Have a good one.
That's one conversation down, and there's millions more waiting for us out in the ancient dirt. If you want to join the crew on their next auditory adventure, subscribe to the Fourth Favorite Hat, the Montana Dinosaur Center podcast, available wherever podcasts are distributed. You can follow the museum on social media at TM Dinosaur Center, visit tmdinosaurcenter.org, or swing by the museum in Bynum, about 80 minutes north of Great Falls on Highway 89. Thanks for listening.